Days of Thunder 2 and celebrities driving race cars. Let's talk about it.
3, 2, 1.
What's up, everyone? Todd Brown, That Racing Show. Thanks for dropping by for this pit stop segment. Days of Thunder 2. Rumors are swirling once again. We're going to talk about that here in a second. In the second half of this video, I'm going to show a lot of things and talk about a lot of celebrities who made a racing career for themselves. So definitely check out the second half of this. But yes, let's talk about Days of Thunder 2 once again. Now, rumors come out this past summer by Giant Freaking Robot saying that Days of Thunder 2 was in pre-production, which was not the case. I actually did an episode on it myself. You can go back through the channel and check it out if you like, but just was not happening. Now, as of last week, Adam Stern talked with Steve O'Donnell, and he said, yes, they would love to see this happen. It'd be great for the demographics, be great for NASCAR, get a racing movie into the theaters and attract a new crowd. And, man, I'm just going to give you this from my perspective, somebody who actually works in the film business, and I'm going to tell you the goods and the bads of this. But right now, I can tell you this much. There is nothing out there about this movie happening. As an actor, anybody in the film business, you have access to IMDb Pro, which is an internet movie database. And anybody can get on that part of it and see what's going on. But we have access to the industry stuff. And I can tell you there's nothing out there. Tom Cruise has nothing about this on his page. Jerry Bruckheimer has nothing about this on his page. And a lot of times films will go under a different title when they're shooting. But there's no way possible you could do Days of Thunder 2 without everybody knowing what it's about, because obviously it's going to be filming at the racetracks and you just know what it's going to be. So I tell you right now, that is not happening. Also, outside of that, Tom Cruise, he apparently owns the intellectual property of Days of Thunder. He's already turned down a streaming series about this. And I think right now in his career, he's just not interested in doing this. But, and I'm going to get to that but here in just a moment. Now, for me, it'd be interesting to see who would be in this, because if you look at the very first movie, you had Randy Quaid in there as a car owner. Now, if you're not familiar with Randy Quaid's career, following all this and the things that happened with him in Hollywood, very interested. I encourage you to check it out. And but then you got Michael Rooker, which he has been asked about this movie himself.
Would you have an interest in Days of Thunder 2 if that is a project that Tom and studios approached you? That's a yes, Rowdy.
And he said, you know, this is what it's going to take right here. It's going to take that money. And that could be the possibility. But the thing is, right now, so many people are banking on what Top Gun did. Top Gun 2 followed up the original movie, was a huge success. And people say that this could be the same formula because Days of Thunder was basically Top Gun in race cars. But I'm going to tell you, that is not the way that Hollywood works. Now, in Top Gun 2 also was Glenn Powell. He co-starred in it as Hangman. And I'm going to tell you, Glenn Powell did another movie, an aviation movie about the Korean War. And the reason why I know this so well is because I was in the movie myself. And people thought it was going to follow up really well after Top Gun came out, had its success. Originally, the movie was slated to come out before Top Gun, but then they waited till after Top Gun. But the simple fact is, it was a $90 million budget film and made a little over $20 million at the box office. So not a success as everybody thought it would be. And I think that is part of the things that go into this that people don't understand, is just because you want to see something doesn't mean it's going to be a huge success. But here's where it leads me to right now. Who would be the star of this movie? Glenn Powell, obviously, would be a good choice. He's got the looks, kind of charismatic as Tom Cruise was in the very first Days of Thunder. But Tom Cruise right now is very busy. He's got Top Gun 3 coming out. He wants to shoot a movie completely in space. So I think I can't even remember the budget on it. It is ridiculous. So he's got his sights set other way right now. But again, we got to get back to the movie. What would the script be? Because it's got to be relevant to racing. It's got to be relevant to the fans. And just obviously, so many of the movies in the past about racing don't really fit. You can see it, you can watch it and go, that didn't happen. That's not the way it works. So You would need a good script, and I promise you right now, there are tons of them probably being shopped around Hollywood at this moment just because of the talk that's going around. But I don't see this happening. But if it did, we got the questions. Who would be the lead? I would see if they did something like this. I could honestly see it being a minority role as the driver, as the star, because that's the direction that NASCAR has moved in so much. They're putting a lot into this. So I think if they had their consulting into it, probably be the case. Might be the case, but we'll just have to wait and see how this plays out. But anyways, now we want to talk about the celebrities that made racing a form of their career. Obviously, Frankie Muniz getting out there racing at Daytona this week. And, man, there is a list of people who raced and made it a career.
Number 1 is Gene Hackman. Hackman competed in a Formula Ford in the SCCA in the 70s. Later he went on to drive in a Toyota Celica run by Dan Gurney. In 1983 he raced in the 24 Hours of Daytona, which was the peak of his racing career. Race instructor Bob Bondurant once said that Hackman may be the most talented celebrity he ever taught. Number 2 is Patrick Dempsey. A racing enthusiast, Dempsey is very accomplished behind the wheel. With a total of 68 races, including the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the World Endurance Championship, Grand Am, ALMS, and the IMSA Sportscar Championship with 9 podium finishes in total. Number 3 is Mr. Bean Rowan Atkinson. Atkinson regularly shows up at the Goodwood Historic Races and other events around the UK, where he has raced everything from vintage cars to modern Aston Martins. Back in the 80s, he raced a Renault 5 Turbo in a manufacturer spec series, and he has also written for several car magazines. Number 4 is Paul Walker. Paul wasn't just a car fanatic on screen. As a competitor in the Redline Time Attack Racing Series, he drove a street tire class BMW E92 M3 for the AE Performance Team. Paul also raced a Ford Boss Mustang in the Pirelli World Challenge Series along with his friend and business partner Roger Rodas, the same man who drove the Porsche Carrera GT when they had their fatal accident. Number 5 is Bruce Jenner. After winning a celebrity race, as a prelude to the Formula One Long Beach Grand Prix, Jenner was hooked on driving race cars. Making his professional debut in a BMW M1 at the 24 Hours of Daytona just 10 months after that first celebrity race. During the 1980s, Jenner even won his class at Sebring, before becoming, well, you know. Number 6 is Craig T. Nelson. He first got behind the wheel of a race car at the 1991 Toyota Pro Celebrity Race at Long Beach. He finished 9th, but the following year he founded Screaming Eagles Racing, where Nelson was voted IMSA's most improved driver. Screaming Eagles Racing entered the 24 Hours of Daytona 3 times but never made it across the finish line. Number 7 is Tim Allen. Tim the Toolman is well known to be a gearhead and has a hefty collection of cars. Tim spent some time away from the cameras, and devoted it to racing. Teaming up with Celine back in the mid-90s, he raced one of their Mustangs, including a stint at the 1997 24 Hours of Daytona where he finished 58th out of 80 cars. Number 8, AC/DC lead singer Brian Johnson. Johnson has raced vintage cars and drove in the Rolex 24 Hours at Daytona. He has also hosted his own car show, Cars That Rock with Brian Johnson. Number 9 is Adam Carolla. Carolla made a name for himself as a celebrity racer, regularly participating in the Toyota Pro Celebrity Race and even winning both the Pro and Celebrity categories. Carolla moved on to compete in the Goodwood Festival of Speed Hill Climb in a Nissan 300ZX, as well as making his debut as a professional driver behind the wheel of a Corvette in a Trans Am event. Number 10 is Jason Priestley. During the 1990s, the 90210 star raced a Toyota Celica ST185 in the SCCA Pro Rally Series. By 1996, Priestley had transitioned to competing in Ford Mustangs in IMSA GTS, USRRC GT1, and the Motorola Cup, and would later move on to compete in Firestone Indy Lights. In August 2002 he was seriously injured after crashing into a wall while going close to 180 miles per hour at Kentucky Speedway. He was legally deceased for 45 seconds and sustained multiple injuries. Since the accident, Jason hasn't spent much time behind the wheel, but he has been the co-owner of different IndyCar teams.
So as you can see, a lot of cool people out there. Brian Johnson, AC/DC, out there racing, loves his cars. Tim Allen. So many of these guys who have done great things, raced at Daytona. So I hope maybe for some of them, or some of you out there, this was news to you, something new, something cool. But, and there is a longer list than this, a lot of different people. I mean, we could include Paul Newman, so many different names who went out there and raced. And, but I just want to put 10 right there. Hopefully some of them, maybe your first time finding out about this. But anyways, I want to know how you feel about this. How do you feel about Days of Thunder 2? Is it something that you think should happen? Or again, is it something that we should just have a different racing movie and leave the original Days of Thunder alone, because it's a piece of history. And, man, I would like to see another one made, but not if it's not going to be a prime, good, real, and relevant film. So tell me how you feel about that. If you like what I'm doing here, please give this channel a subscribe. Give me a like on this episode. Got a lot of cool things, a lot of fun stuff happening this year. Want to talk racing with you, so I hope you join me. And, man, as always, we'll see you at the checkered flag.